is that time for SDH AM Saturday, SDH AM Saturday AM, however you want to phrase it. John here, you there. Thanks for dropping by. Happy July 4th, everyone. Happy sesquicentennial to the greatest political experiment on this or any other planet. And we're going to take you up toward what's going to happen at 1 o'clock. It's the beginning of the round of 16. Canada's going to start things off, and it's going to be two matches today, considering it is also baseball night in America. And so the network that handles that particular sport live, they are going to be up and running in the prime time, and they're going to break it all down for you that way. So that's why you have the two matches that are happening this afternoon. 1 o'clock, Canada and Morocco in Houston at NRG. Outdoor temperatures are supposed to be 95 degrees, probably matching humidity, but they will be in the climate-controlled environs of NRG, so it'll be 72 inside and decent grass. Then after that one, 5 o'clock Eastern time in Philly, where it will not be in a covered stadium. Paraguay and France will be squaring off. And that will be the run of the day in the beginnings of the round of 16. What we're going to do here, we're going to go over what happened yesterday, and it was a hell of a day with what went down to wrap up the end of the field of 32 and trim it down to the field of 16. We got your highlights, we have some sound, we got some review, we got some preview, and we'll let you know what else is going on in and around the planet here in the next little while. Like I said, we're going to take you up toward Canada and Morocco at 1 o'clock Eastern time, and then you may partake in it however you wish, whether it is Big FOX, whether it is Telemundo, whether it is Peacock, Fox ONE, or on the Big Red T app. Same at 5 o'clock. Big FOX, Telemundo, Peacock, Fox ONE, and the Big Red T app. Juice boxes, by the way, for the matchups today. In Houston, Canada is a plus 380. 90-minute draw with Morocco is a plus 240. And Morocco to win it in 90 minutes is a minus 118. We'll check these again at the end of the show. 5 o'clock Eastern, Paraguay and France. Paraguay, by the way, is down to a whole plus 1,900. They were a plus 2,000 and plus 2,100 at points yesterday. 90-minute draws a plus 600. And France to win in 90 is a minus 526. So those two matchup, the last matchup, unless you really just have some juice boxes that are burning a hole in the back of the fridge, like the raspberry pomegranate that has the expiration date of maybe late May, and you're wondering whether or not you should partake in it. Answer is probably no, but if you want to get rid of the juice box, then that's on you. So we got those two matchups coming up later this afternoon, 1 o'clock, 5 o'clock on all of those pre-mentioned networks. And since we're talking about it, we'll go ahead and we will do what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important, helps them out, helps us out, helps you out when it comes to your streaming and places that you might not necessarily have been thinking about finding matches and have matches found, and they can be a part of your dossier going forward. You get all the be-ins, and I mean all the be-ins. You get Middle East and North Africa, which means you get CAF, you get AFCON. In about a month, you're going to get WAFCON. And we had Ali Howarth, our resident African football expert, who is here on this particular side of the Atlantic for the next couple days. So we caught up with Ali, and we found out about that. So WAFCON, AFCON, CAF, all the U's. That is a part of what you get on all the be-ins. You get Libertadores, Sudamericana. You get the league play in Europe, in France, and in Poland, and in Turkey. You get that and all the other things, all the A and B divisions that are going on in South America. You get TVV if you want it, unless you have a certain cable service, and they've already got it. Then you can plug that in if you wish. You've got CDO Plus out of Chile, Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You have all of the bits and pieces that are attached to that. You can watch all of that stuff on Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. So as we mentioned, Big FOX has both of the matchups in the Cup the World is chasing. FS2 at 4 and 7 has your doubleheader. So Canada Day was July 1st, and they've got a doubleheader on July 4th. Atletico Ottawa Cavalry's at 4, Vancouver FC, and what used to be the artist formerly known as York United, which is now Inter Toronto. That's at 7 o'clock. Those are on FS2. Telemundo has your 1 and your 5. ESPN Plus, a full run in the USL Championship. Indy 11 Charleston Batteries at 4 o'clock. That starts it off. You have 9 matchups in USL Championship to look at tonight. You've got 3 in USL League 1, 1 at 7, 2 at 7:30. The Cosmos are at home tonight taking on Greenville Triumph. Fort Wayne unveiling Ruoff Mortgage Family Stadium in Fort Wayne, taking on Velocity at 7:30. And Corpus Christi and Chattanooga Red Wolves. That one is in Corpus Christi at 7:30. Big Fox O&E, we mentioned the 1 and the 5 after Paraguay and France. They're taking up the CPL matchup at 7 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus has the 7 o'clocker in the CPL. Peacock has your doubleheader. Veeks has had a doubleheader this morning in the U19s in Europe. On the women's side, coming up at 2 o'clock, Montreal and Vancouver in the Northern Super League. And on Ion, your doubleheader, North Carolina Courage, Seattle Reign at 6:30. San Diego Wave and Gotham is at 8:45. By the way, did you see the fireworks display that happened after Angel City won last night? Crazy. Not everything went up in the air, and that's not necessarily a good thing for fireworks. When fireworks get launched sideways or they fall and they launch sideways, it's not really good for the stadium that they're in at BMO, and it's not really good for folks that might be in the first couple of rows wanting to see a fireworks display. So that was what happened last night in the NWSL. Speaking of getting into the topics of the return of the league, by the way. I just complete. No, here it is. Okay. So Tiffany Rodman twice scores, 94th minute winner. Washington over Houston, 2-1 at Audi. 1 point off of first place now are Spirit. Kansas City beat Denver 3-0. Michelle Cooper had 2. Late goal from Timo Shawinga, who now has 8 on the year. Angel City beat Orlando 2-0. Remember, in the break, they fired head coach Alexander Strauss. Ali Sentner, who they brought in for $850,000, played the full 90. Mayada Niehaus and Svendis Jonsdottir scored close to halftime for Angel City. Orlando played without Barbara Bonda, who was out with a thigh injury. And Antoine Griezmann has started training in Orlando, twice daily sessions at 8 a.m. Expected to reconnect with Diego Godin. MLS play once again kicking back in 18 days' time, and we'll obviously have the sprint for you there in 18 days as Orlando takes on San Jose on July 22nd. So that was your overnight in the NWSL as they're getting gassed up and ready to go. And once again, thanks to our friends at Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. Helps us out, helps them out, helps you out when it comes to all your stuff. So now, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Start your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over town. Try their home blend made with beans in Brazil and Guatemala, heavy body, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. After the match in Miami yesterday that took forever, and in a good way it took forever, Vazinha and Lionel Messi had a bit of a conversation after the match. Vazinha was asked what he said. And this is from Adi El Grande on the 280-character app. Quote, I approached him. I didn't even have time to say much when he hugged me directly and said, good job, you're an incredible goalkeeper. Your people must be very proud of you. Hearing that from someone like Leo means a lot to me. I thanked him and replied, thanks, Leo, you're the best. And I asked him for his match jersey. He smiled and said, of course, I'll give it to you in the locker room tunnel. Moments like this I'll remember for the rest of my life. And I think the rest of us will too. Because when you look at that matchup yesterday, smallest nation ever to make it to the knockouts, and you have what happened in it, and I think honestly, the match in and of itself, to call it an instant classic is almost an undersell. It literally almost is an undersell. 64-478 at the Hard Rock yesterday. And you end up with a 3-2, 120 minutes AET Classic. Argentina survived. They literally survived this one. And we were going back and forth in the in our production chat. And we were trying to figure out, if it had gone the other way, what it would have been, if there was any kind of comparison. Nick had come up with the idea of if it was just upset in general, it would be bigger than Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson. Then I said, would this be a bigger upset than Lake Placid? And Nick said that on a team structure, in his mind, the answer to that would be, yes, bigger than Lake Placid. But if you're looking for upset, regardless of number of individuals participating, Nick had it number one overall over Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson. But yes, it would have been the highest. It would have been the largest storied upset over Lake Placid in 1980. That's where we were in this matchup. And you get to the hydration break, and Cabo Verde's hanging with them, making it frustrating for Argentina to function offensively. We knew going in, because of what we had seen here in Atlanta, that it was going to be Bubista coming up with a plan that was going to frustrate them defensively, frustrate Argentina defensively, to where they really couldn't function. You try to keep an eye on number 10, and then you don't let the supply lines get to him. You don't let him get a whole lot of stuff done. You go to the hydration break. You come out of the hydration break, and then you kind of figured that the adjustment would be made, and it certainly was, where you end up with a goal on the board from Mama, there goes that man again. And here's the call. And when you have a match like this, it is most certainly one individual whose voice you want to hear. And we got to hear it all night long. Andres Cantor, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo and Telemundo Deportes.
Santiago Almada. Adentro para Messi, buena para Messi, va Messi. Argentina, ¿quién más iba a destrabar el partido? El 10, el más grande, 1-0.
Y el pase de Lisandro Martínez es milimétrico, la recepción también a pierna cruzada de 3 dedos, la baja ahí, Messi. Y la definición.
The pass from Lisandro Martinez, I think, is not talked about enough here. The pass from Lisandro Martinez bordered on the obscene. And then the touch and the control, which is what we are used to seeing from Lionel Messi, to calm the ball down and then basically just use literally you calm the ball down with the outside of the foot, then you rocket it past Vozinha, and it goes over his inside shoulder to the post. Tight angle over the inside shoulder makes it 1-0. Then you get to the break and it's 1-0. And there were moments in that first half where you're kind of sitting there thinking, okay, Argentina, they're getting the engine warm. They're getting into it. Not really shocking anyone, the numbers themselves. stilted. 2-1 in possession, but once again, we knew that was coming with Cabo Verde. Total shots 4-1, shots on target 3-0, touches in the opposition box 9-4. 9 touches in the opposition box in the first 45 minutes for Argentina. 9. And you thought it was really, I thought that the numbers were a lot less. I thought they were a lot worse than that, but they weren't. When it came to Cabo Verde inside the Argentina 18. 1 big chance converted. So 9-4, only 9 touches in the Cabo Verde 18. But once again, we kind of expect that with what we've seen from the Blue Sharks here in the tournament. Total shots 4-1, 1 block, 2 shots inside and outside the 18. Defense, tackles 10-9 Argentina. 3 interceptions each, 1 block, 5 clearances for Argentina compared to 2, and then Vizinha had 2 saves. Cabo Verde actually had more duels won in the first half at 24-20. 22 of those wins were on the ground. And both teams were 2 of 2 in the air. Successful dribbles went to Cabo Verde, as a matter of fact, 8-4. Had more accurate long balls, 12-8. Accurate passing. The passes themselves were about 2-1. Once again, you got possession 2-1. Passes attempted were 2-1. We mentioned that the number of throws and fouls committed, 5-4 for Argentina in the first 45 minutes. So you're looking at the scoreline and you're going, okay, 1-0. Okay, yeah, 1-0, that's all right. And so Cabo Verde gets into the locker room, only down a goal. Then you end up with a moment in the second half that pretty much took everybody and put them on their heels, that was watching, participating, you name it. Lados Duarte, and you have to honestly sit there and figure out, okay, Diroy Duarte and Lados Duarte, they were two of the 2 forwards in the middle in the 4-1-4-1, and you end up with the one that plays at Ludogorets Razgrad, Diroy Duarte. He ends up getting a moment early in the second half, and everybody's like, oh, game on, oh, ish. And it was at that point. So Duarte ends up with this moment to make it 1-0, to go from 1-0 to 1-1. 30 minutes to go. And once again, courtesy of our friends at the Telemundo Deportes, Andres Cantor on the call. And you could tell that there was a bit of a surprise there with the equalizer by Diroy Duarte.
La tiene Steven Moreira. Va Moreira. Para el capitán Ryan Méndez, buena pelota adentro y esta es para gol. ¡Gol! Cabo Verde, gran jugada, le venimos diciendo que jugaba mejor el equipo africano y vaya momento de Duarte para convertir su primer gol en 35 partidos con la camiseta de la selección nacional.
Pierde la marca la selección argentina porque Lisandro Martínez va a ocupar el espacio en la pareja de centrales. Está Duarte solo y cuando quiere llegar.
And there you go. That was your equalizer. 30 minutes to go. And you're at 1-1 with the goal from Diroy Duarte. And now you're sitting there and you're going, all right, now it's game on. And the more, like I said, the more and more we were thinking about it, this literally was like the original Rocky, where you had the big dog in the ring and the unknown, and I put that in quotation marks, is there. And you know, there might be the moment from Duke where you sit there and you go, he doesn't think it's a show. He thinks it's a damn fight. then that's where you were. You land that shot, and that was when you knocked Apollo down. You knock Apollo down and you surprise him. So then now what does Apollo do? Apollo once again tries to get dominant in 30 minutes to go, but they can't get the second goal across the line. In the second half, just to let you know, 70-30 in possession, expected goals, XG 1.26 to 0.14. Total shots in the second half, 11-5, 5-2 on target. 29 touches in the opposition box compared to 5 for Cabo Verde. Accurate passing was almost 3-1, 298 passes accurate at 91%. As Cabo Verde's just kind of waiting you out. 114 passes completed by Cabo Verde in the second half. Total shots 11-5, on off target 3-2, on target 5-2. 3 blocks to 1, shots inside the 18, 7-1. Passes 328 attempted to 136. Passes in their own half completed, 49 for Cabo Verde in the second half, 65 in the opposition half. Accurate long balls. Argentina 12-5. Accurate crosses 4-2. Touches in the opposition box 29-5. Fouls committed 7-6 Argentina. Duels won 19-16 Argentina. 15 of 27 in the air. Each of them won 4 of 8 on the ground. They had also 4 successful dribbles. But the defense for Cabo Verde, which we've known about ever since the tournament started, and remember, this is a team that went through its first 4 matches, did not lose in 90 minutes, any of those times. Didn't lose in 90 minutes in group, didn't lose in 90 minutes in this one. 7 tackles compared to 5, 4 interceptions compared to 5, 3 blocks, 19 clearances compared to 7, 5 saves for Vazinha in the second half compared to 1 for Emi Martinez. And Emi Martinez was called upon to make a big save. So that's where you were after 90 minutes. Rounds are counting up. You're getting 9, you're getting 10, you're getting 12. You're getting to that 15th round. Rocky's hanging in there. Landing all those body shots. And basically, if you were to think about a couple of quotes, there's always that moment that Mickey says, "Don't let that bastard breathe." And the defense for Cabo Verde did exactly that. They didn't let that bastard breathe. They'd give him a little bit of space, but it wasn't enough for anything to get accomplished. So we're past the 10th round. We're like 11th or 12th round right now. And you can play this however you want. End of 90 minutes. You're tied, and you're going to extras. And so in the first extra time period, you're thinking, all right, the number 67 ranked team in the world, they've got a little bit of momentum. They're hanging with the champ. Champ's kind of protecting the ribs a little bit. And then you end up with Lisandro Martinez in the 92nd, literally out of the blocks. They land that shot, and it's 3-2. Get your score right, John. It's 2-1. 2-1 at this point. And this might have been that point where you're going, you know, you're looking at Mickey and Rocky's on the mat, and this is where Mickey's going down, down, stay down. But Rocky wouldn't do that. Rocky gets up on his feet. 11 minutes later, you have this, one of the goals of the tournament. One of the goals of the tournament, and I'm not kidding. And this go-round for the remainder of the highlights, this is courtesy of our friends at Football de Primera. And Diego Pesolano is on the call for these. So here is Rocky landing another shot on Apollo in the 103rd. Here's how it was called, Pesolano and FTP.
Uno de los Semedos que es Willy, y Willy hace que el balón le llegue ahora a Janek. La abren por el sector izquierdo para que avance a toda velocidad. López Cabral se la entrega en corto a Helio Varela, se la deja otra vez a López Cabral, la pide en el vértice del área. Monteiro levanta la vista, toca de primero otra vez abriendo el balón Janek Semedo. Enganchó López Cabral, está en el vértice del área, le pegó golazo. ¡Gol! De Cabo Verde, lo hizo Cindy López Cabral, entró como varias veces, buscó en el partido, sobre el vértice izquierdo del área de Argentina, buscando su posición en ofensiva, y en esta oportunidad enganchó de la zurda para la derecha, y un marcador de punta izquierdo que domina como pocos el pie diestro, la cruzó y la depositó en el ángulo de la mano zurda de un Divo Martínez que se estiró pero no llegó. Golazo de Cabo Verde para empatar el partido. Está ahora 2-2.
And it was 2-2 at that point. And this goal by Lopez Cabral was ridiculous. Just inside the 18, cuts it in on his right foot. Just outside the 18, he's on his left, cuts it inside to his right foot, and put it where Emi Martinez could not get to it. Far post, upper 90 side netting, take your pick. Upper corner, no chance. And that's when Rocky lands the shot in the ribs, and you hear Bill Baldwin and Stu Nahan talking about, oh, he's coughing up blood now. And it's 2-2. So Cabo Verde hanging in there again, landing another shot. And the celebration from Cabral, where literally it reminds you of like maybe Pat Cash when he won Wimbledon. You're running up into the stands. You're trying to find the corner booth, caddy cornered. You're trying to find your family, and you hug your family, you hug your dad. It's like when Pat Cash won Wimbledon. That's your Google search for today, kids. That's what happened there. Found his family in like the third row, and he stood up, and you had security that was there. They were trying to keep him from going up the stairs in the first place. Goes up the stairs. They realize who it is. Then they let him go and try and find who it is. He goes about two steps up. Family comes down, gets the hug, then goes down. Did not get a yellow card. And good for Drew Fisher for understanding the moment. Good for Drew Fisher. Absolutely cool that it was that you had that kind of awareness about what Sidney Lopez Cabral did, the Trabzonspor left back. And so you're at 2-2. And then, once again, you get to the 15th round. And it has been a war. 111th minute. You end up with the final moment of the match. And here's the call once again, Diego Pesolano on FTP Radio.
La pelota vendrá abierta del pie zurdo de Lionel. Salta Romero, cabeció. ¡Gol! ¡Gol! De Argentina lo hizo Cristian Romero, el Cuti, que ganó por lo alto, le puso el parietal derecho, y el hombre que es una roca, el hombre que planta bandera en la defensa, hizo lo propio en el área rival. Había ido a buscar en varias oportunidades, pero no había había conseguido conectar y en esta ocasión saltó más alto que todos y la pelota fue a parar al fondo del arco rival y Argentina, vaya a saber uno por qué, porque no está jugando bien, tiene la suerte de aquellos que sueñan con el título. Argentina vuelve a ponerse en ventaja, ahora por Cristian Romero, el partido está 3-2.
3-2, and that would be the final score. I'm going to do a little live TV here. Telemundo. All right, so now the Big 55 is going to change the channel. We do have lineups. I'll get to those in just a sec for the Morocco-Canada match slated for 1 o'clock in Houston. We do have lineups. So you end up at 3-2, final score in this one, and it was instant classic. Is such an undersell. I don't even know how you would describe this one. Match of the ages. This was Rocky 1. And if the result had been different, it probably would have been Rocky 4. Where the first time that Rocky hits Ivan Drago, he's, it's a bad cut. He's cut. Duke's yelling in the corner. He's a man. He's not a machine, And so then you got, then you would have Rocky chopping down Drago. But this was the original Rocky. Ain't going to be no rematch. Don't want one. That's what you got in Miami for north of 120 minutes. And like we've been saying here on the network, literally, we knew what Bubista would bring to the table. We've seen it all tournament long. A lineup that would frustrate the ever-loving ish out of you, and it wasn't any different. Didn't lose in regulation in group, didn't lose in regulation here against the number one team in the world. Vezina on the day, 120 minutes, 8 saves. I swear it was more than that. 22 of 32 passing, 8 accurate long balls. 3 diving saves, 3 saves inside the box, 3 times acting as a sweeper, 3 throws, 12 recoveries, and a clearance on 49 touches. Won all of his ground duels and had 1 successful dribble where he was under pressure and decided to just pull it back from his right foot to his left. Swear it was more than 8 saves, but 8 saves, 12 recoveries, a clear and 3 throws, and also three wins on the dribble. The back line, let's talk about the defense here. And we'll probably end up doing some math. So Cabral, left back at Trabzonspor, full 120, 42 of 45 passing, 2 shots on target, the 1 chance. 6 defensive contributions. All right, so here's where we're going to start the math. So 6 defensive contributions for Cabral, 80 touches, 1 for 4 on the dribble, 10 passes into the final third, 2 accurate crosses, 1 time dispossessed. So Cabral gets a tackle, 2 blocks, a clearance, 3 clearances, 5 recoveries, 4 of 9 on his duels, and he was fouled twice. So that's Sidney Lopez Cabral. Dini Borges, who eventually would be credited with an own goal in that situation and not getting the goal credited to Juti Romero. The center back who plays at Al-Bateh, 79 touches on the day, had the most defensive contributions with 12. So 12 defensive contributions for Borges. And like I said, he's credited with an own goal on the eventual game winner. 49 of 59 passing, 83%. 1 chance created, shot on target, shot off target. 79 touches, 4 touches in the opposition 18, 6 passes into the final third, 5 accurate long balls. 3 tackles for Borges. Had 1 last man tackle. 8 clearances, 4 of them headed. Had a pick and 3 recoveries. And he was 6 of 9 on his duels. The other center back, Pico Lopez, 68 touches. Playing the full 120, 47 of 55 passing. 9 defensive contributions. Touches in the opposition, 18-1, 5 passes into the final third, 3 accurate long balls. 2 tackles for Pico Lopez. 1 last man tackle. 2 blocks. 3 clearances for Pico. 2 picks. 3 recoveries. And 6 of 8 on his duels. He won all 3 of his ground duels, 3 of 5 in the air. So 6 for 8 in his duels. Then Steven Moreira from Columbus Crew on 55 touches. Doesn't really get a whole lot of work. Has not. They've been playing away from him all tournament. 34-37 passing at 92%. 1 chance created, 1 block shot. 1 defensive contribution. 55 touches, once again, successful dribbles, 2 of 3, 3 passes into the final third, 2 accurate crosses. So Moreira is contributing more offensively than defensively, but we will get him for the 1 defensive contribution, the clearance that he had credit for, which was headed away, 2 recoveries, and then he was 4 of 5 on his duels. So let's do math here. You're 4 at the back for Bubista in this match. You end up with 28 defensive contributions. You've got 6 tackles. You have 4 blocks. You have 15 clearances with your 4 at the back. You have 13 recoveries. And you are 10 of 18, 16 of 26, 20 of 31 on your duels. Clearance, recovery, tackles, clearances, interceptions. And you had 3 interceptions as a group. And that's your rundown of your back 4 for Cabo Verde. Literally, that's your run. 28 defensive contributions, 6 tackles, 4 blocks, 15 clearances, 13 recoveries, 3 picks, and 1 2/3 of your duels combined in the air and on the ground. That's the defense that went up against the number 1 ranked team in the world. That was Rocky that went up against Apollo. Obviously, Lionel Messi was the highest graded player out at an 8.7. But your insights after this one. First player, Messi, to score in 7 consecutive World Cup matches, set to become the first player to make 30 or more World Cup appearances. Co-leads the Golden Boot race, 6 group stage goal. Argentina won all 10 of their last matches, scoring 8 goals in the 3 World Cup matches. Smallest nation ever to reach the knockout stage in Cabo Verde. First debutant to advance from the group stage since Slovakia 2010. Cabo Verde conceded just twice in the 3 group matches. Vizinha, 2 clean sheets, including a 7-save display against Spain. Third oldest keeper to register a clean sheet in the tournament's history. And so that was your 2.5 hours. 3-2 your final score. And that's where you are. Cabo Verde had chances late. And it ain't going to be no rematch. Don't want one. If that doesn't speak instant classic and speaks a lot about what we all got to see yesterday. It was an amazing display of the sport and how it's grown. And literally, that was the match. To lay it all out for you. That was the middle game yesterday. And because of it being number 1 versus number 67, and that was the largest gap in space. That was the middle game. We all were drawn to the middle game yesterday. And you end up with the late game, Colombia and Ghana. Colombia gets the win 1-0, scoring at a minus 222. Ghana kicked off at a plus 800. Here is the one goal in the match. And it came early, once again, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Deportes. And here was how Colombia got the win, courtesy of our friends. It was courtesy of our friends at FTP that was ready for this one. And it was our friend Sammy Sadovnik who was on the call for this one. So it is, if I get my courtesies correct, this is our friend Sammy Sadovnik and our friends at FTP. How did Colombia win? They won this way.
Dani Muñoz. Filtraba la pelota para buscarla Suárez, se manda Luis Javier, va a meter el centro, chocaba ya con el delantero, viene el servicio, ¡gol! Lo hizo camiseta número 11, Junarias. Magnífica incursión por derecha de Luis Suárez. Al segundo palo, con claridad, con tranquilidad. Le puso el botín derecho, un pase a la red. Junarias marca el primero. A los 15 minutos, la explosión en Kansas City. Gol de Arias. Gana Colombia 1-0.
And that was how it wrapped up. Arias gets the goal first half, and that was your final score. And then that takes us to the first match of the day. And like I said, we forget legitimately that Australia and Egypt, number 27 versus number 29, went to penalties. Starting the day in Dallas at Jerry World, Australia and Egypt go to penalties. That started the day. And then probably one of the coldest moments came from Mo Salah. Salah had a choice. Which way would he go? Which way would he go? And the choice was, how do we say this? Very interesting. But it was cold-blooded. That was cold-blooded when this was the choice of Mo Salah in the PKs, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Deportes.
Da la orden Tejera. Viene Mohamed Salah. Le pega Salah. Gol de Mohamed Salah. Estamos 3-2.
También con mucha experiencia lo que hace Mo Salah, no se pone nervioso. ¿Cuántos goles no le vimos hacer en el Liverpool desde los 11 pasos? Ahí está, y además con una picadita sutil, un casi panencazo por parte del número 10.
They called it a panenka. I mean, for me, when I think of panenka, I think legitimately of just the change up. Literally, you're thinking somebody's going to come at you full speed, and it literally is just kind of like and just kind of floats in there. wasn't quite a changeup. I think it was more of an off-speed. It was an off-speed pitch by Mo Salah that went right down the middle. And keeper goes one way, then Salah goes down the middle, and that was the PK that put them back in the lead for good. Tony Popovich, after the match, was asked about the two misses, and it'll be the second question. Basically, the two questions that we have here from Tony Popovich after the loss. One, how you doing? And two, about the misses, and especially a miss from an 18-year-old in Lucas Harrington. So here's post-match with Tony Popovich, courtesy of our friends at FIFA.
Yeah, it hurts when you get that close, and unfortunately, we bow out on a penalty shootout. So, yeah, difficult to take right now.
Tony, commiserations, David Winner, Football 360. What work goes into now picking up the guys that did miss the penalties and Matt, and what was the thinking behind that goalkeeper swap?
Yeah, I think picking up the players, it's part of football, so I don't think that will be anything major. They're all disappointed. We all are, because we certainly played our part, and had we been the winners tonight, no one would have been arguing that fact or surprised by the fact. So, yeah, the players will be fine. I think the Matty Ryan decision was made during the game. I think not during the game, but it was always an option. You always have options to come on in the match, and yeah, with a couple of minutes to go, we didn't lose any players in extra time through injury, so we still had one sub, and we put Matty on.
Peter Stebbings from the news agency AFP. Tony, commiserations for today. Unfortunately, human nature is such that people may point the finger at, the two guys who missed, which is especially tough on Lucas being so young. For those people who want to kind of unfairly point the finger, what would you say to them?
Oh, who would do that? I don't think that really matters, or I don't think the players will see any of that, and certainly we won't. And that's really, I have no interest in anyone that may do that.
And it was really cool, and this is a clip that has made it out on socials. Morning, Abby. Where a lot was made of Lucas Harrington at the age of 18 stepping up, taking a PK in a World Cup shootout, round of 32, and missing. And I thought this was really cool that Zlatan Ibrahimovic on Big FOX, he mentioned, he's open, give him a call. And, don't hang your head on this one. But if you need to talk, Zlatan was available. And I thought that was a very cool thing for him to do. And when you look at who hasn't taken PKs, regardless of team or regardless of club here in the World Cup, and whom you would think would be a person to tap into in this situation, and they don't, and you have an 18-year-old in Lucas Harrington step up for Australia to take the PK, then bully on Lucas Harrington, and bully also on Zlatan for saying, hey, man, you need to talk, give me a call. And so it was Australia losing in PKs, and that sets up where we are in the knockouts. We do have lineups for the teams that are now up and running. In this matchup, coming up at the top of the hour, Canada makes 3 changes. Nico Seeger, Luc de Fougerolles, and Ali Ahmed come in for Nathan Saliba, Derek Cornelius, and Liam Miller. Morocco's sole alteration, according to Opta analyst, Redouane Halhal replaces Chadi Riyad at center back. So Canada, Opta has them listed in a 4-4-2. Maxime Crépeau in net, left to right. Lorea, Bombito, de Fougerolles, and Alistair Johnston. We'll hear from Jesse Marsh and Alistair Johnston coming up in a bit. Ali Ahmed, Stephen Eustachio, Nico Seeger, and Tejan Buchanan in the midfield, and Tani Oluwase and Jonathan David up top. The bench, St. Clair and Goodman, Alfie Jones, Joel Waterman, Derek Cornelius, Alfonso Davies on defense. Midfield, Chouanier, Osorio, Saliba. Forwards, Laren, Liam Miller, Schaffelberg, Promise David, Jaden Nelson. Average starting age is 26 and 347. For Morocco, Yassine Bounou in net. Great story on him in The Athletic, by the way. The 4-2-3-1 for Mohamed Ouabi. Mazraoui, Hal, Issa Diop, and Ashraf Hakimi. El Ayanoui and Ayub Bouadi, who has been under the spot shadow for transfers with everything that he has been able to do for Morocco so far in the tournament. Yeah, his price tag has gone up. El Khanous, Unahi, Brahim Diaz, supporting Ismail Sabati up top in a 4-2-3-1. Average starting age 26 and 93. Subs available for Morocco. El Kajoui and Tagnauti in net. Saadane El Wadi, Chadi Riyad. Yusuf Bellamari and Anas Salah Adin on defense. Amrabat El Murabet in midfield. And at forward, 6 forwards available for substitution. Talbi, Sufyan Rahimi, Gesame Yassin, Amina Sabai, Ayub El-Kabi, and Amaimouni Eshguyab. So that's your subs. That's your subs and your lineups. Once again, 3 changes for Canada. Seeger, Fougerolles, and Ahmed in for Saliba, Cornelius, and Miller. Morocco at the back swaps out Hal for Chadi Riyad. So that is the rundown of the lineups coming up once again at the top of the hour. And like I said, we'll get you toward that. And you may watch however you wish to watch. We'll talk about it tomorrow on SDH AM Saturday. Back to the normal time of 9:05 as we get our coverage ramped up for the round of 8. And Argentina and Egypt showing up here noon at Atlanta Stadium on Tuesday. So we'll go over the grid for you and we'll lay it all out. But that's our early plan. Get you to Tuesday, and then we'll get everybody else squared away for the rest of the week. As promised, we do get to hear from Jesse Marsh and from Alistair Johnston. Here are their thoughts heading into this matchup, courtesy of our friends at One Soccer. Once again, our friend Christian Jack catching up with the two of them, getting ready for this matchup this afternoon.
Yeah, look, we're excited for the moment. We wanted to get to a point in the tournament where we were playing against some big opponents, and Morocco is exactly that. When you talk about Morocco, you're talking about a team with incredible individual talent, really well organized, a great structure, but yet fluidity in which they play, which I think really accesses the quality of their players. And the results have meant that the confidence that they have right now, like when I was at the match down in Monterrey, the swagger they played with, like we know we're in for a massive challenge against a really talented team.
I've played against this Moroccan team before, obviously, in the last World Cup. And I've been trying to tell the guys, play the game, not the occasion. It's going to be loud. There's going to be noises that you didn't even know were possible to be made in a stadium that will be made. And it's going to be unbelievably tough just to focus out there. So just remember that we're all in this together. You can do all the preparing you want in the world. It comes down to it's 11v11 on the pitch. The pitch is still the same size. The ball's still round. I think that our team is in a good place in that sense in terms of this is a chance that, we wanted to make sure that we got to the point in the tournament where we're going to get to play, an actual Goliath. And that's what this Moroccan team is. If you're here, there's no reason why we can't make it, another step. And that's something that I think fills us with a lot of excitement, is that we know we have a chance here, whether it's 90 minutes, 120 minutes. If we put in a performance that we know that we're capable of, we could really do something that is going to last a really long time, and not just within Canada, but will resonate with, the rest of the world. And that's something that is definitely not lost on us.
Jesse Marsh and Alistair Johnston getting ready for the matchup against Morocco, top of the hour. And since we're here, we'll go ahead and find out. Numbers really haven't changed. Juicebox actually has gone down in Canada's number. They're under now plus 400. They're to plus 380. 90-minute draw has gone up a little bit to plus 240. Morocco is now at a minus 118. The numbers for Paraguay and France have not been shifted all of that much. And France is a minus 526. And it is plus 1,900. Like I said, Paraguay coming into the show this afternoon was a plus 2,100. That has gone down to plus 1,900. And it is obviously Paraguay, Gustavo Alfaro. We know what happened with them last time out with Germany. And it is going to be intriguing. Can they do this again? Can they do it again? That's the other that's the other element in this. Is can they do it again against another giant killer? And so we will find out what the what it looks like in these moments. So now that we have examined as best we can what has happened yesterday and what we're getting into today, I'm trying to see if there's anything else on my sheet that I might have missed. Oh, yes. Number one sidebar. And this is for those who may not necessarily know about Jason's background. If you're new to us here at SDH and you're new to how we do things and our fandoms and all this kind of stuff, what I've been doing here on SDH AM is I have been making a point to take segments from Atlanta Soccer Tonight, which is later tonight. Otherwise, it would be Atlanta Soccer This Morning like it was on Wednesday, the day after the U.S. game. And Jason showed up on the morning shift for the first hour from 6 to 7 in the morning. So it was last night after the Argentina-Cabo Verde match was over. And then while it was going on, you had another opportunity to kind of understand where Jason was coming from when it comes to his love and appreciation for Argentina. So here is the breakdown, as Jason had it last night, a reminder where his love for the game came from. And it came from some guy named Diego Maradona. So this is Atlanta Soccer Tonight from last night, and Jason's description of what he went through as a fan of Albiceleste.
But let's get into this. Argentina, they survive. They're the number one ranked team in the world coming in. No number one ranked team has actually won the World Cup. Argentina was not happy. They were a very superstitious bunch. They got that number one ranking right before the tournament. They tried to give it back. Just kidding. They probably did try to find a way to give it back. They could not. The superstitions are rubbing off on me. I'll break the fourth wall for a minute. Again, I am that Argentine sicko. So the match is just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it gets to the end of the first half of extra time. And I have the brainstorm of, okay, I need to put on the jersey that I wore when they won the 2022 World Cup. I need to put that on now. Where is it? And I was frantic trying to find it, and eventually did, and sat down, and not too long after that, goal number 3 happened. I get no credit for it, but that's how these things roll. I was freaking out that I could not find this shirt that I wore in 2022 watching that final at the Roxy at the Battery. That's how it went. My voice is a little shattered because I was yelling a lot. Cabo Verde was ranked 67th in the world, and it didn't matter a bit because they were amazing. Argentina was good enough to get through it, and hopefully this can be a little bit of that boost as they get into now the nitty-gritty of defending their title into the round of 16.
So that's Jason from AST from last night. And that is what you get when you get to hang out and pay attention to what's going on with Jason and his love for Argentina. Players going through warm-ups right now in Texas, getting ready for the match up top of the hour. Abby, I know that I am not, and Abby is in the Twitch pitch, and she's got a couple of things going. She doesn't want a repeat of Argentina, and I mean I have Argentina in the pool. I mean, not in my bracket, because I wanted the fairy tale. I want Lionel Messi to go out because I'm admittedly Team Messi, and you end up with me, someone at 39 who I think holds himself a lot better in a team construct than Cristiano Ronaldo does at the age of 41. And I think that by the end of this tournament, something will happen. I think that in the idea of beating competition you're supposed to beat, that Portugal was fortunate last time out. I mean, like I said, if dude had a buzz cut, that probably wouldn't have happened. You would have gotten your equalizer at 2-2 at 125th minute or whatever, and then you would have gone and kept going. Or at 120 plus 5. It's probably the best way to phrase it. And like I said, I want the fairy tale just because it's a great story. And Abby's got 4 brackets. You're braver than I am. But what I do in my bracket is I go from the middle out. I always go from the middle out. And I know that toward the end, you're going to have all of the blue bloods. But I'll work from here and I'll go this way. And so that gives me some opportunity to sit there and go, okay, so who do I think are going to be those wild cards that are going to do some damage? So I had Argentina and France in the one bracket that I filled out and kept an eye on. So I think it would be, it's basically the rematch of 22 and the craziness of 22. And if we can replicate that, then I think we will all have a fantastic World Cup final coming up in a little over 2 weeks. But it has been a fun watch because of all of the chaos that we've had. And I think it's been one of the more fun tournaments to digest because of folks like Uzbekistan, because of DR Congo, because of what we're seeing from Cabo Verde, what we're seeing from the African continent when you have 9 of 10 teams get out of the group stage. And the only one that didn't was a complete and total dumpster fire in Tunisia. And seeing teams like Curacao go into Houston, tie the game at 1, send all of the neutrals in the building over on your side of things. Same thing happened at Atlanta Stadium with Cabo Verde and Spain. Yes, I think that if U.S., France, and Spain is winners. Okay, yeah, I mean that's pretty solid. But I mean, if you have, if you're looking at the activity that we saw at Atlanta Stadium, where you have Spain and Cabo Verde, and you see what Cabo Verde can bring defensively. We saw it again last night. In the early rounds, give me the Cabo Verdes, give me the Curaçaos, give me the Uzbekistans, give me DR Congo, give me all of the surprises. Because I know that by the time we get to here, we're going to have some insanity that is going to be on our screens of choice. But just to think about it for a second, what we have in succession starting tomorrow, obviously today we've got the 2 matches, Canada, Morocco, Paraguay, and France. France. And Adele Dazeem apparently is singing the anthem in Philly this afternoon. Tomorrow you have Brazil and Norway, Mexico and England. And all of the hubbub and the hullabaloo involving changing start times, which would have sent other matches cascading across the board. That was stuff that was out there in the ether. Then people complained and were complaining about it on social media. Then FIFA was like, yeah, we'll go back. I mean, honestly, all you had to do was look at the weather forecast, and that's what I started doing when all of this talk started. I was like, all right, so what's the weather forecast? The weather forecast was getting better in Mexico City as the game was going on, as the day was going on. If you'd rescheduled it for noon, you probably would have gotten into trouble because there was more of a chance of the weather happening that everybody was thinking was going to happen later. It's going to happen earlier. And so by the end of it all, they just wiped it all off the board, and they're like, yeah, we'll go back. But tomorrow you have Brazil, Norway, Mexico, and England as your 2 matches, 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Monday, Portugal and Spain at Jerry World. That building, you better find every Texas Ranger you can find. It's going to be chaos. Then the USA and Belgium. Mauricio Pochettino, by the way, I think threw a high strike at Safeco last night when he threw out the first pitch for the Mariners game. And the video of him getting the pointers from Matt Turner was hilarious. Then you have Argentina-Egypt here, noon on Tuesday, followed by a really sneaky good game. Switzerland and Colombia, 4 o'clock Eastern in Vancouver. So you have 5 matches in a row that are borderline insane tomorrow, starting tomorrow. Brazil, Norway, Mexico, England. Monday, Portugal, Spain, USA, Belgium. Tuesday, Argentina, Egypt, and then Switzerland and Colombia is sneaky good, but you're kind of leaning toward, probably leaning toward Colombia in that one. But the cachet for those first 5 over the next 3 days after today, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, the 6 matches, the first 5 of them are insane. Think about it, just back to back to back to back to back. You're getting all of this. Brazil versus Norway. Obviously, you have, all the shiny objects. Mexico and England. Yeah, those two don't do anything. Portugal and Spain, they hate each other. USA and Belgium. USA needs to win the round of 16. And if we all thought that Beastquake was loud when Marshawn Lynch broke a tackle and was a part of the Seahawks knocking off New Orleans in the playoffs there in Seattle, I would ask folks that have the seismographs to keep an eye on the Pacific Northwest. And Abby and Ricky are winning the SDH group when it comes to bracketology. You both are braver than I, because traditionally my brackets stink. But I always go from the middle out. But think about Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday as we get ready for the round of 8 after Tuesday's matches go. Quarterfinals Thursday, Friday, Saturday, doubleheader. But to get there, you've got Brazil, Norway, Mexico, England, Portugal, Spain, USA, Belgium, Argentina, Egypt here in Atlanta. That is crazy talk. So whoever the bracketologist was that had all of the ideas in their head, good job. But you've got that to stare at over the next 5 days, is it? You've got that to stare at for the next 5 days, people. That's what we're looking at in this tournament. Today gets you off and running, and then you end up with all the rest of the stuff. Let's go through all the other news and get you ready for what's going on at the top of the hour. Once again, we'll go through juice boxes one more time before we get out of here, see if anything changes. But your transfers and such, that's the official term, and such. Biggest news was where Crew had acquired Bryce Mendez from Real Sociedad. And midfielder, once again, 29-year-old Spanish international. He's a DP, contract through 28-29 with an option for the year following. 55 and 42 in 332 matches. Real Sociedad Celta de Vigo helped Real Sociedad win the Copa del Rey this past year over Atletico de Madrid. 1 goal and 4 caps with Spain. Isatal with a quote. Then, following that, Diego Rossi to Monterrey. This had been talked about for the tune of about $8 million. Diego Rossi to Monterrey, last 4 years in Columbus, reportedly up to an $8 million transfer fee. Rossi's DP is out, taken over by Mendez. Isatal quoted once again. 51 and 20 and 117 appearances, all comps with Columbus. MLS Cup 23, Leagues Cup 24. This year, Crew's leading goal scorer with 6 through 15 games. 18 through 21 with LAFC. 4-time MLS All-Star, Best 11 Golden Boot, MLS Young Player of the Year 2020. Between his time at LAFC and Columbus, he went to Fenerbahce. And now, with Monterrey, he's going to face off against Orlando, Miami, and Nashville in Leagues Cup. So, big moves by Columbus to get them to where they are. And I mentioned the story about Morocco and their matchup in Houston with Canada. Yassine Bounou was born in Montreal. Back in 1991, his dad was a university physics professor. They moved back to Casablanca when Bounou was 3. Then 2 decades later, Canada's then national team coach Benito Floro managed the side between 13 and 16. When he was asked about it in 2022 for the Sevilla TV channel, quote, Benito Floro asked me to come play for him, but I'd grown up in Morocco, played for their underage teams, and even some senior games. It was always my dream to play for them. Article from Dermot McCorrigan at The Athletic. So that's if you have a moment, then catch up on the article on Yassine Bounou. Maybe that's your halftime reading. So checking on with our sources and our folks that we keep an eye on days like this. Al Ettifaq has confirmed Jack Hendry signed a new 2-year deal. Ettifaq secured extra budget to keep the Scottish international. Besiktas, and this is interesting, Besiktas reached an agreement in principle with Arsenal to sign Leandro Trossard for 18 plus 2. 20 million euro max. Trossard still to finalize terms. Besiktas is confident. Algeria never made a formal offer, according to Jacobs, despite reports. Trossard obviously is currently in Seattle with Belgium, and he's got stuff going on at the World Cup. Ooh, I like that. Okay, so Abby is reminding me about the banner. Is that an actual overlay, or is that CG? As I sit here and I look to my left. So okay, I guess it is an actual tarp. It's a rather large tarp. What happens to these tarps when the tournament's over? Does somebody get to keep them? Do they get hidden away? You know, if folks are smart, you carve that thing up and you put it with soccer cards. Bournemouth been clear about Alex Scott. They don't want to sell him. Understand Jacobs does. A new contract offered March and April. Talks to continue this summer. Bournemouth is content whether Scott signs a new contract, likely with a release clause, or continues on the existing one. Manchester United expected to explore a move. Scott is also on Arsenal's radar. Andrea Berta has already made an approach and told Bournemouth don't want to sell. Scott's also appreciated by City and Chelsea. And then there's the video from last night with what happened there with the first pitch. So, yeah, Mauricio Pochettino practiced throwing out first pitch. And he even got from Matt Turner. Matt Turner is kind of giving him the pitching dynamics and everything. So it was kind of funny. But literally, he wanted to know everything about pitching dynamic, turns, and all this kind of stuff. He wanted to know the physiology attached to a first pitch. Timo Werner started last night for the Quakes in their friendly against Tijuana. Looks like he's fully healthy, according to those that were there. And it was a one-goal exhibition match. 1-goal game. It's 2-1 final, I believe. So it was you're starting to see these friendlies kind of drifting in and out. You're kind of starting to see folks getting back into game state and all this kind of stuff. And so everybody's getting the engine warm all over again as we get ready for round of 16 and beyond on the Cup the world is chasing, and then everybody getting back to league play here in the United States. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo when it comes to all of the chasing of everything. Let's see. Checking headlines. A recharged Jurgen Klopp is confirming talks for the Germany gig. We'll keep an eye out on that. Okay, so Abby says, after the banners are done with, they go into a big, gigantic crate and get shipped to the next city. Country banners. The FIFA one stays. And so Johnny, yes, as you should mute me to talk. When Johnny Cash is talking about Old Glory, you shut me up. All right, so transfer rumors, as we know them. Trending rumors. Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and Bayern Munich have all been alerted to a potential deal for Barcelona and Jules Koundé, as reported by Team Talk. Chelsea long-term admirers haven't ruled themselves out of the running despite having already signed Marco Palestra for £47 million from Atalanta. Liverpool, Arsenal, and City have been watching the 27-year-old. Bayern Munich also considering a move, United focusing more on signing a left-back. Saudi Pro is the most likely destination for Mo Salah, according to the Mirror. Plenty of options, refusing to make a decision until Egypt's World Cup campaign is over. Return to Italy to represent Internazionale, Roma, or Juve. Turkish Super League, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce. Chelsea it is claimed Chelsea could try to re-sign, but that is unlikely. Also, MLS clubs, we have heard in the past, San Diego FC. San Diego FC! Real Madrid's Aurelien Tchouameni, AFC Bournemouth's Alex Scott, high on United's list of options, according to Sky. United assessing their options after missing out on Mateus Fernandes from West Ham as he went to Spurs. List includes Dortmund's Felix Nemeka, Lille's Ayub Buwadi, Fulham's Sander Berge. Atalanta's Ederson is going to be signed for £35 million once his World Cup with Brazil has ended. Juve resumed contract talks with free agent Leon Goretzka following his departure from Bayern Munich, as reported by Sky Italia. Now he's going to consider where he wants to continue his career following Germany's elimination from the World Cup. Bianconeri's transfer priority is still a keeper and a striker. With that in mind, deal reportedly already done, although not confirmed, with Randall Colomwani from PSG, according to Gazzetta. Barcelona's women undergoing a revamp and are looking to sign Manchester City forward Caroline, according to Globo. 13 goals, 26 matches last year, City with the WSL title. Barcelona determined to add the Brazil international to their ranks, ready to make a third bid of around €500,000. Done deals, Andre Onana from United to Trabzonspor, season-long loan. 6 clean sheets, 42 goals, and 34 appearances. Fenerbahce signed Nathan Ake, Manchester City, ending a 6-year spell at the Etihad, 4 Premier League titles, a Champions League, 2 FA Cups, and 2 Carabao Cups. Other rumors. Liverpool willing to listen to offers from Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, MLS, and the Saudi Pro, as clubs trying to sign Virgil van Dijk, no longer see him as untouchable. Team Talk also mentions Granit Xhaka, who has informed Sunderland he's not going to push for a move to Chelsea this summer. Chelsea, remember, had put out a bid of about £8 million. Chelsea have also agreed to sign a 17-year-old center-back Alfie Osborne from Hearts. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Matty Warhurst, Manchester City striker, 19-year-old, could leave for Stockport County, Northampton Town, or Swindon. That's according to the 4-letter paper, so he would be out on loan to some League Two franchises. Chelsea's Trevor Chalobah has reached an agreement in principle with Internazionale on a contract that runs through 31. Now looking to reach a deal with the Blues, who want to add £35 million for the 26-year-old. That's from Nicola Shearer. From The Guardian, Fulham have joined the race to sign West Ham's Crescencio Somerville, who's also been monitored by Chelsea and Manchester United. Gazzetta, Lens, Lyon, Rennes, and Coventry City, all interested in Juve striker Luis Openda. Team Talk, Curtis Jones is adamant he wants to leave Liverpool amid interest from Forest, who want him as a replacement for Elliot Anderson. Sky Italia, AC Milan have agreed to a 5-year deal with Lazio defender Mario Gila. Now need to reach a fee agreement with his club. Will offer 25 plus 5 in euros in add-ons. Matteo Moretto. Eintracht Frankfurt pushing to sign Real Madrid defender Victor Valdepenas. L'Equipe, with Emi Martinez expected to join Juve. Aston Villa are looking at Lens keeper Robin Rieser. Fabrizio Romano. Andres Martin, racing Santander winger. DC United, NYCFC, Club America, all keen. L'Equipe, Crystal Palace, keeping a close eye on the situation of Toulouse center back Charlie Cresswell. Rennes also interested. Romano also has Ajax a deal in principle with Marc-Andre ter Stegen in Barcelona for a season-long loan. Team Talk, Hoffenheim are using Bazumana Torre's pending move to Newcastle to sign Anderlecht midfielder Nathan Decat and the Megan midfielder Kodai Sano. Once again, that's Team Talk. And Nicola Shearer. Cagliari have shown an interest in Sunderland striker Wilson Isidore. We remember Wilson Isidore, don't we? Udinese interested in Hellas Verona right back Rafik Belgali, facing competition from 2 other Serie A clubs. If you don't remember Wilson Isidore, why don't you? The reason that you should remember Wilson Isidore is because of this. It was 9 days ago.
Se viene con todo. Providence. Centro. Balón dividido. La intentaba ganar Isidor. La recupera Haití. Isidor le pegó. ¡Golazo! Al 43. Bombazo. Wilson Isidor. 2-1.
Festejen, griten, bailen, agárrense entre ustedes, todo el pueblo haitiano. La gran sorpresa de esta tercera fecha, de la fecha final de la fase de grupos.
And that's why you should remember Wilson Isidore. Wilson Isidore, that's why his name is familiar. Cagliari showing interest in the Sunderland striker. So that is the go-round of gossip, rumor, and innuendo with all the things. So that's what you're doing to pay attention. Now, I'm trying to see, checking quickly, if there's anything else going on that we need to know about before we get out of here and go and watch other matches for the afternoon. Reminder, tonight, a little bit before 7 o'clock, it is going to be the twos on the network. I'll have the call for you. Atlanta United 2, Toronto FC 2 from Turner Soccer Complex in Athens. And just to remind you where things are involving the twos and MLS Next Pro. In the heat of things in the Eastern Conference, right now, standings in the East, Atlanta United 2's in the 8th spot, but it is very, very crowded. Right now, Crew 2 on top at 34 points, but they've also played 17 matches. Crown Legacy at 32, 2 matches in hand. Red Bulls 2 at 16 matches, 31 points. One more win than Revolution 2, who have 31 points and 15 matches and 8 wins. OCB is at 5, is in 5th place, 5 points behind at 29 points. Chattanooga FC is 6th with 28. NYCFC 2 is at 15 matches and 25 points. Atlanta United 2, 15 matches and 24 points. Also, Chicago Fire FC 2, 23 points in 9th. Toronto FC 2 on the road. They are 2-4-2 this season, by the way. TFC 2 at 22 points in 16 matches played. Philadelphia Union 2, 21 points. Connecticut United, 19 points, 5 wins, better goal difference than Huntsville City Football Club, who are in 13th at 19. Carolina Core, 17 matches, 17 points, a record of 3-8-6-2. They are 0-6-3 on the road this year, by the way. FC Cincinnati 2, 4-11. You're either going to win or lose in 90 minutes. 12 points there in 15th, and Inter Miami CF 2, 14 matches, still looking for their first win of the season. 0-10-4-1. 0-4-2 at home at the Erector Set, 0-6-2 away from home this season. 5 points, dead last in the East. And that is the rundown of MLS Next Pro. Big night tonight for Atlanta United 2, Toronto FC 2, visiting. Turner Soccer Complex will be on a little before 7 o'clock, and we'll break that one down for you as well. Remember, Atlanta Soccer tonight, 9 to 11, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app, and that will be also on 92.9 The Game's YouTube page. And Jason will be back with the round of 16 openers, looking at the big 5 that we talked about, getting you ready for everything, and it is going to be a full day. So after we go enjoy the games. Both games are up. Juice boxes one more time before we get out of here. Canada is down to a plus 380. 90-minute draws a plus 240. Morocco's a minus 118. 5 o'clock, Paraguay plus 1,900. Draws a plus 600. France is a minus 526. When that one's over, come and join me on the network. And you can listen to the twos in Toronto FC 2, and then get you ready for the rest of the evening. And then 9 o'clock, when we're done, you go to 92.9 The Game and catch up with Jason for Atlanta Soccer tonight. 9 to 11, 92.9 The Game, Odyssey app, 92.9 The Game YouTube channel. all the things that are right there in front of you. So it's Canada, Morocco, Paraguay, France, the twos, and Atlanta Soccer tonight. So you start in a worldwide scope, you finish with the twos and Atlanta Soccer tonight. That's the rest of your Saturday here on the SDH network at 92.9 The Game and all over the planet, however you're consuming the cup that the world is chasing. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. We'll break everything down for you, and we'll set up the day once again as we get you ready for another full, fantastic, and crazy week here in our footprint anyway, which is the entire planet when it comes to soccer. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. Abby, great to have a conversation with you. Happy 4th. And it is time to go watch some soccer. Round of 16 starting in Houston, Texas. They're indoors. It's 95 outdoors, 72 indoors, and we'll all be watching however we're consuming. So since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Get your sandwiches ready. Get your drinks ready. Put your feet up. Enjoy the 4th, everybody. It is time to watch some soccer, listen to some soccer, and be a part of everything. Since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll see you in a bit.